Well, hello. Welcome back to All Today. We took the past couple of weeks off because, well, me and Cheston are in the football, apparently. Very strange. Setzer doesn't quite know what sports are, so he missed out on the fun. But how are you this week, Setzer?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain, really. This is a bunch of snow. How about you, Cheston?
Covered in shit and ready to roll. Let's go.
Yeah, we had to delay the show today because Cheston's kid pooped on him.
It was like a machine gun. Well, it had a little more warning than a machine gun. It was a preemptive fart that was followed by.
So you're saying he pulled the trigger and like 20 poops came out?
It was the girl. So you
Oh
know,
my. Oh well, yeah. I was
the
gonna say
son is a
newborn.
little old to be pooping on me. If he did that, I'd be awfully frustrated with
That'd
him.
be a little more amusing, I would say.
But he does now. Like now, one day I woke him up and said, "Oh, this is a big poop," and now every time I change him, he goes, I got a big poop."
I hope he says that to like the babysitters and
I hope
stuff.
so too. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things I hope he says.
Oh boy. So speaking of chess, what have you been up to this week? What have you been playing? Anything?
Yeah, I have. I won't bother to talk about Banjo-Kazooie because I actually think we've been recording this long enough that the last time I played it, we talked about it. So
I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah.
I don't have anything to say about it. I played it on the Switch because it came out on the Switch, and my clear time was 9 hours and 30 minutes. Derek, what were you at?
I haven't looked yet. It
Mm,
was I think it was between 8 and 9. I also used more save states than you did, I think. So
I didn't use any.
I know. I had to on Gruntilda because uh, my Joy Cons are experiencing drift right now,
Well,
and
whose fault is that?
Nintendo's, and so
Mine never drift.
firing eggs, you have to use the right analog stick. So whenever I would fire eggs, my camera would spaz out on me, and it was like impossible to aim. So you had to save state on Gruntilda, or you couldn't beat it. It was
You
annoying.
call that a problem, but a Smash player calls that an advantage.
Calls that an edge. You're supposed to have
Yeah.
broken controllers in Smash Bros.
They just throw their Joy-Con as soon as they unbox it. They just throw them on the ground.
Well, you gotta make sure it's ready for when you throw a tantrum at a tournament. You know what I
Hmm.
Right?
mean?
My stick was wrong.
My buddy Ryan used to get really mad at Smash Bros. And says, "I know I hit you. Why do you have like preference over this? This is bullshit. You have a hacked copy." And now he's way better at me than Smash Brothers. So that's just how it goes.
Oh yeah, he's better than both of us. It's disheartening. But he also has like 1,000 hours in Smash Ultimate. So
I do not have near that.
are we allowed to publicly shame him? Should I go get my Switch and like list off all of his playtimes?
No, don't list off his Civilization playtime.
Yeah, the universe might implode. Every time I see him playing that game, I'm like, God, how many games against bot CPUs can you play? I guess I don't really know how Civilization works.
I bet it's a very good game to play in bed.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, you know
Uh,
what game I like to play in bed?
what's
Dicey
no?
Dungeons or something.
Yeah, probably.
I was gonna say Banjo-Kazooie. So the game I actually played and I guess could talk about possibly, though I haven't played much of it from what I gather, is Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive edition for the Switch, the remake of a Wii game.
I talked about this last year. How about it?
Yeah, so I should probably hate this game, I think.
Not really one I'd recommend to you.
I said I should probably, because when you start the game, you have a tutorial that's pretty fun, and then it throws you into this world, and I tend to like things that are a little more minimal, and this is whatever the opposite of that would be, maximal. It's like you drop into this world, and there's like 30 quest markers immediately. There's stores rife with a million different types of collectibles. You run around the world, there's all these little blue orbs that you don't quite know what they do. Then you get a little further and you realize that in addition to the typical RPG stuff, there's gems you can craft and socket into your gear to boost your stats. There's affinity charts that track your reputation with every single NPC that's named in a town.
It's
There's
true. Yeah, he's not
affinity.
kidding.
There's affinity with your own teammates that both unlocks special cutscenes and also unlocks bits on your talent tree. And your talent tree, of course, which has three different prongs, and each prong has different little blips you can plug in based on your affinity with your teammates. You have your moves, which are assigned in a World of Warcraft like hotbar.
Got it. Cooldowns and everything.
They got cooldowns and everything. You got moves you can take off that bar and add onto that bar. You've got you have ability points you gain every level, which you can use to increase the power of those abilities. There's a lot, and I don't know how much of it you can actually ignore because, like, the game says you don't need to do quests, but I find that you probably need to do quests because
You need to do
there's
quests.
I have them. I never believed the game. I did not believe it for 1 second.
Yeah, if you don't do quests, you're gonna be very underleveled.
Yes, and this is not like an MMO. This is not a game where you can be underleveled because I think last night I was playing and I got to this area where there's all these Mechon, which are the enemy type at this point in the game. Early on, they're like android types. I was fighting a mob and I could handle them. But then there's like this little sentry mob that came by and it went and tattled on me and brought over like 5 other guys and just cleaned our clocks, almost immediately. And so I was like, well, it wasn't a matter of skill. It was a matter of, I guess I probably should do more quests before I try and go this way. All that to say that this game has some amazing things going for it. The soundtrack, I don't know what the kids would say. It's a bop. It shreds. Like it is. I cannot remember the last game I played. Probably Chrono Cross, which I think has the same composer, right, Derek?
It does.
Yeah. The last game that was just carried, like the soundtrack carries so much of the weight for you. Like you hear these songs a lot and they're great, so it doesn't matter. Like you're just happy to hear them. The first time I got to the Gower Plain, which is one of the big open areas in the beginning of the game, and the song for that played, which I've heard 1,000 times in Smash Brothers.
But it's still good.
I know, I was just like in the zone. And then it has the night version. When it gets night, it gets a little slower. And it's like, yeah, this is good stuff. It's good for grinding around. I think the setting is also pretty cool because it all takes place on a giant deceased thing, like a colossus of sorts. And it's just like a civilization has sprung up on its corpse. And so when you're walking around, it's like, oh, we got to go to the knee. And then you like can see out to the other corpse that your corpse killed. It's kind of a weird world, but it's cool. It's got some stuff going on for it. And I think the combat, it's an MMO, but
It grows on you, I think.
it's pretty fun. I think it's fun, MMO combat. It's
The first time I played it, which would be whenever it came out on the Wii, because I took the PAL version and pirated it on my totally legal soft modded Wii, and I hated the combat so much back then.
I never hated it. I find it pretty relaxing. I mean, it's pretty simple, but
Oh yeah, well, when I got back into it, I ended up liking it a lot.
yeah, but I really like that when you switch characters, like if you choose to play as one of your other characters, it really does feel a lot different. Like,
It does.
and if you're like, I usually am, and when you play MMOs, you just want to be like a support type because you don't like to get in the fray and mess with all the enemies close and personal. Like you can switch to a healer character and basically play this game like a healer in an MMO. And I did do that for some, and it was fun. It's nice. I like it.
My problem is that I don't really like how any of the combat players play, except for Shulk. Like I don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, Dunban's okay, but like I forget his best buddy's name, but he's no fun to play as.
Dixon.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
And I also think Charla, is that her name?
Yes.
The healer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't really have fun healing in the game either. But
I thought it was fun to play as her. I liked her quite a bit. I will say though, on that token though, given that this game has so many different things you can customize, I'm wondering, and maybe you can tell me, Derek, is there a way to customize your partner AI like you could in FF12?
I don't think so.
Okay, because your partner AI is dumb as shit. They're so dumb. Like, you have a tank early on in the game, and I'm pretty sure at this point I just have to remove all of his skills that aren't tank skills because he just never seems to draw aggro from any of the enemies.
Yeah, for certain bosses, I would have to use Charla to heal because she wasn't doing a good job. So
Yeah, she's also a terrible healer when you're not controlling her. Like
a
I'm
Donald
sitting
Duck
there
type.
as Shulk, who has a very weak, piddly little healing spell, and I'm trying to do my best to keep everybody afloat because she's like trying to DPS it. She's like a priest who gets her stave out and says, "I got this." It's that part is less great, but I do like playing as the characters, and I just kind of find the game a little bit relaxing. So I don't know that it's like gonna be the main game, like the thing I'll play hot and heavy, but I think it's the game I'll check in with a couple hours here and there, maybe once a week.
Kind of curious how you feel about the cutscenes, because that was one of my favorite parts of the game. I felt they were really good.
The story so far is pretty, traditional, but interesting nonetheless.
Oh, it's interesting. It feels like a good shonen anime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just like,
it doesn't feel like something I've seen 1,000 times before, but
you'll get there.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm interested to see what the deal is with these robots, who at this point just seems like show up every few weeks, kind of like the Reapers, to be like, yeah, we're gonna kill all of you. They're like, oh no, we thought we killed all of you, and they're like, nah. So I kind of want to know what's going on there, and a little bit more about these corpses we're fighting on, but we'll get there. I think it's like an 100-hour game, isn't it?
I think it took me about 60 to beat, so it's
That's not as bad as I
long.
thought. All right.
While you were talking about all the, I don't know, features of the game, all the crap you can do, it made me think like this game came out, I think, in 2008 or 9 originally. That was before a lot of this stuff was commonplace.
I know. I was thinking about that too. Like the fact that this was on the Wii kind of blew my mind. And what really blew my mind is that this game was also on the 3DS, and I can't picture playing this on a 3DS.
Yeah, I own the 3DS copy. I didn't play it because I'm an idiot that buys games and doesn't play them. But
there's too much going on that game to put it on that small of a screen.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a disservice, a bad way to play it.
I guess having a touchscreen for your hotbar would be okay, but that's about it. So that's really it.
That's it. Well,
I don't want to talk about Banjo-Kazooie.
well, I'm glad you had fun with Xenoblade.
Well, I do, but I don't want to make you all talk about it.
Well, there's only so much I can say about Banjo.
So. Yeah, no, I was in the same place. I was doing this thing on Twitter where I reviewed every game I played, and when I started to talk about Banjo, I was like, I don't have much to say about it. It's just kind of really good at everything it does.
I've been keeping track of the games I play and like rating them out of 10 on Twitter, and that was 9.5. It's just a pretty damn good game. I don't know what to say.
Can't complain.
So, Setzer, what about you? I hear you finished Red Dead.
I did. At long last, the Red Dead Redemption playthrough is over. You guys are going to hate me, but I'm having a hard time saying this is not my new #1 game.
Really? Over Mega Man Legends, huh?
Yes.
That's impressive.
I really fell in love with this game. I don't know how else to put it. It is probably one of my favorite Westerns. Probably one of the most impressive games I've played. It's not perfect by any stretch.
No.
I complained about this to you guys, but I think the honor system and wanted systems are kind of nonsensical.
They are.
There's instances where, I'll talk to an NPC who doesn't like Arthur, and this is in the middle of Saint Denis in broad daylight, and he will pull out a knife and attack me, right? And if I defend myself with my fist, a non-lethal weapon, right? I suddenly go wanted dead or alive, and the police will start shooting at me for being attacked. I really just didn't really grasp it. Or you'll do something like someone starts shooting at you, and sometimes looting the body is dishonorable, and sometimes it isn't, and I didn't really get that. But I think what's most important about Red Dead Redemption 2, more than those kind of systems, is probably the most well-written game I think I've played.
Easily. It's one of the few video games where I don't have to be like, this is a really good story for a video game. It just has a really good story.
Yes, exactly. And the characters are some of the most human characters. I mean, I really would not have been surprised to see, based on a true story, with all the Hollywood glamour that implies. I really would not have doubted to find like a Wikipedia page on the real life Vanderlyn gang or something.
Oh yeah,
Um,
totally with you. Well, it's funny. Like I didn't know the Pinkertons were real until until after the game came out. I was like, oh shit, they're actually people. So
yeah, and they still exist. They still
And they were
operate.
mad about this game.
But yeah, and I think the writing is so impressive, and one of the most impressive things about that writing is not only are the characters so fleshed out and three-dimensional, pretty much everything you do in this game draws out those characters, typically Arthur. There's a side quest where you help a nature photographer from New York. You help him photograph alligators. Arthur is rowing the boat through the bayou while he gets his camera set up. They're having a conversation about how strange it is that alligators are being hunted to extinction in the bayou, when American history demonstrates that Americans tend to venerate killers, right? And Arthur kind of shrugs it off, and you can tell he kind of clams up about it because he is a killer and he hasn't hit it big, right? Just everything you do feasibly contributes to Arthur's character arc, and everything you do in the game, he has some kind of reaction to, which I think is just really brilliantly impressive.
I have two questions.
Sure.
Okay. The first question is very important. How did you feel about the shed building song?
I loved it. I unironically listened to that song just while I'm working on other projects.
it's such an iconic song to me. I was working and my computer isn't exactly facing my wife, and she got to the shed building scene, and I go, "Are you building a shed over there?" She goes, "Like, how'd you know?" It's such a good choice of music for that part.
When I get up and do a square dance around when I hear that song, and like take a hammer and bash it into a nail or something. Follow-up question would be, did you like the epilogue? It's kind of divisive.
I did.
I'm a big
I did
fan.
like it. I think that the complaint, I did do a little bit of Googling around to see how other people reacted to this game, both a few years ago on its release and kind of how they react to it today. And I think what struck me is the complaints not just about the epilogue, but also about some of the character moments strike me as spiritually bankrupt. With the epilogue in particular, people seem to really complain that it was too long, but that length is kind of one of the game's best tools for communicating its themes to you.
I kind of appreciated the length, and this is a big spoiler, so if you haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, you should probably skip ahead a few minutes. But I felt like, to me, like it was going at lengths to show you like John Marston has kind of like exited this life of crime, but his desire for revenge is just slowly bringing him back. I don't know, I kind of liked how they did that.
I mean, I think personally, what I got from it was that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And John, I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 1. I'm basically spoilered on it. So I know more or less every step of John's arc in the first game. And I think the epilogue, John is in the position that he has no real skills. He has no real assets for living a normal life. And, you ask a criminal today, are you prepared to live outside of prison or outside of crime? And they'll tell you no, because they have no skills, right? And it's kind of the same thing for John. When your only real skill is killing people, how do you make a living outside of killing people?
Well, yeah, especially in the changing society they're living in.
Exactly. And, more than that, he has to let that go. And that creates a really interesting tension. By the end of the game, I had maxed out Arthur's honor. I played him as more the unbreakable wall kind of character, just kind of stoic, kind when he can be, but does what he has to do when he has to do it, right? And that dynamic really changed when I played John. I played him as more of a, I don't want to say a hothead, but someone who definitely doesn't have the perfunctory morals that Arthur did, because John has more to lose, right? But he has less tools to express that. And so, whereas I never beat a hostage as Arthur. I beat every single hostage that John took just to get him to shut up, right? And I think that, going through every step of Arthur's journey is what makes the end of that journey so impactful. And likewise, going through every step of John's journey to build this new life is what makes it impactful when you see the end of that. Not only the end in the epilogue, but the end that is coming in Red Dead Redemption 1, right? So, yeah, I don't have a problem with the length. I think people who criticize the length of the epilogue, for one thing, nothing's forcing you to play it. It is an epilogue chapter. You've experienced Arthur's story.
Yeah, the game could end when he, dies. Like, you can stop there. It's a perfect ending, so...
Yeah, but moreover, I don't see how you can love Arthur's story long enough to stick with it through the end, and then get to the epilogue and then decide, actually, I don't really like this game. I don't want to play any more of this game, because the epilogue is such a small fraction of the whole. Likewise, I was really struck by how people online criticize the characters for being illogical. That really, made me skeptical of people's perception. I think, the whole point is that these characters aren't logical. They are flawed people. They're people in general, right? And so when they criticize Dutch for being illogical, I think that it's just bizarre to me to think that someone can spend that much time exposed to these characters, that surely they've met someone in real life like that, and they know that people in real life don't act logically as a rule, least of all people of the larger-than-life archetypal personalities you see in this game. And you can spend so much time with Dutch, or with Micah, or Bill, or Javier, or anyone in the Vanderland gang, and come away from it asking, why weren't they more logical? They're flawed people in shitty situations. So of course they're not logical. It baffles me.
I think a lot of the people who felt like that came to the game with their expectations from the first game, which is a good game, but it's definitely a little less of a nuanced, expertly told narrative. It's a lot more of a, I think people want to experience it like Westworld. And I think a lot of people with Red Dead 2 came in with that desire to play cowboy the way that they saw fit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the game generally railroads you into playing the way that it wants to tell its story, I think you get a lot of people who are angry about a lot of things, and they're just spreading it all over the place. The characters are illogical. Oh, the missions don't let me do enough. There's not enough agency. It's just a pretty movie, yada yada, so on and so forth.
The structure of Red Dead Redemption 2, I can understand why that's polarizing. Personally, I tend to play a lot of systems-driven games and find a lot of freedom in that, as opposed to games that just have a big, static, open map. And the structure of Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't bother me. It's more or less what I expected from that sort of game, where the open world is there, the side missions are there, you can partake of them as you please, but what you're here to experience really is this particular chapter in this character's life, and there are events that contribute to that. I can understand if that's not to your taste, but I think it's kind of stupid and lazy to say that it's bad.
I don't like when people say that it doesn't tell a story in a way that's effective for doesn't take advantage of the medium, because I don't think that's true at all. I think there's a lot of aspects of that game. I think particularly there's a mission in the swamps of Lemoyne when you've been run out of town and you have to go find a place, and Arthur's like, oh, I remember this little dumpy shack that these raiders had holed up in. And you ride over there expecting some big fight, and instead there's just 3 drunken racists hanging out. You kill them, and then the game makes you slowly walk up the stairs, get their body, walk slowly down the stairs, take them to the river, dump them in the river, which in my mind, the game doesn't shout at you that it's doing this, but in my mind, that was the game using its interactivity to make you think about what you just like what's going on in this scene the way that you would in real life if you were, doing something mundane but also a little perverse. You're carrying this body of someone who the world has passed by, and you're just carrying their corpse very slowly to the water and reflecting on how their situation relates to yours.
Exactly.
I don't think you could really do that in a movie. Like, I think people would get pretty fidgety if you tried that in a film or a television show.
Yeah, I mean, there are movies like that. Western being a predominantly film genre, there are a lot of slower, longer Western movies that have those kinds of moments, and that's one of the reasons I love the genre so much. Rejecting those kind of contemplative moments out of hand kind of belies a certain, I don't want to say genre ignorance, but I guess impatience. I think really Red Dead Redemption 2 runs the gamut in terms of subgenre inspiration and emulation. But the ones that most inspire it clearly are those more contemplative Westerns that use action as sort of a punctuation to story development. And you can say that you wanted a more action-packed story, that's fair. But I think that just saying out of hand, it's boring when I have to think about, the parallels between the Lemoyne Raiders kind of being, men existing to time, clinging to this dead life, and the Vanderland gang desperately searching for a new frontier after being driven out of the one that shaped them, right? As it closes off.
I'd love to see you play the first game, because I wonder how you'd feel about that one, because I think that's where a lot of these people come from, is they played the first game, which is a lot more action-packed, a lot more of its time.
It's a lot closer to Grand Theft Auto than this
Yeah.
one.
Like, I liked the first game quite a bit, and it certainly has a compelling narrative, but I don't think it can even shine the boots of Red Dead 2's story. And I think the way it plays is so much more gamified that's why you have all these people coming in who are averse to the experience they're getting, because it is not what they ordered when they wanted a second Red Dead. It's kind of like the reverse of GTA 4 and GTA 5. Like, GTA 4 was a much more grounded game, and some people were into that, but a lot of people coming from San Andreas were kind of put off by it. And so 5 went way back to being a kind of stupid, vapid crime story. And this is like the opposite. Like, Red Dead is not vapid. I don't think it's vapid, but it's certainly a faster paced, less stinky story. And then they're like, we're going to drill down on like just making this an extremely impressive, contemplative game that is really unmatched by anything else ever in the industry.
Yeah, and I think that that's a fair genre expectation. Like I said, Westerns are a very diverse genre, and there's certainly more action-packed Westerns out there. My expectation coming into Red Dead Redemption 2 was, more informed by my observations of the reaction to GTA 5, which, as I've said before on the podcast, I've really never played a GTA game or a Rockstar game, but I was aware that, Grand Theft Auto 5 has a reputation of being kind of like a wacky, isn't it funny that Americans, are airhead dumbasses kind of game?
It's been a Grand Theft Auto staple since 3, probably since 1.
So that was kind of what I was expecting when I went into Red Dead Redemption 2. Within 1 hour, that expectation was completely overridden. Red Dead Redemption 2 is such an odyssey of the human condition. I mean, like I said, I don't know how you can look at these characters and not think, like, I've met someone like that. I've met someone like that, but they are more like this or more like that, or they have these traits or those. I've seen them suffer in the same ways. I've seen them overcome these same mistakes or tragedies. I've seen them grow. I've seen them heal, and it's such a mythic kind of game. Like I said, I'm hard pressed to say anything negative about it, which is what surprised me to see so many irreconcilable complaints about it online.
You know how people online are.
Yeah.
They'll nitpick anything. Like, one of the big complaints before Red Dead came out was that you couldn't play as Marston at first, as people wanted to go run around and shoot as John. I don't know. People like to complain. I know I'm one of those. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I certainly do not give things my time if I don't think they deserve it. I spent 80 hours with Red Dead Redemption 2, and it deserved every minute of it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I just I think a lot of people loved this game for the wrong reasons, and a lot of people hated it for the wrong reasons.
Sounds about
and
right.
And that's fair enough. You do you. But I think when you don't stop to appreciate and contemplate on this game, you're really missing its most compelling aspect.
Well, it's a game that actually has something to say, which is kind of rare, I feel like. So
yeah.
All right. Well, are you good on Red Dead?
Yeah. I've also played a little bit of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction with some buddies of mine.
Which one is this?
This is the PvE siege game where you fight the aliens.
Okay.
And I was prepared to write this game off, and I came away very pleasantly surprised. It's actually pretty dang fun. I'm not too terribly far in it. I don't have time to sit down and bang out missions. But what I have played, I don't really get the hate. I'm enjoying it. What can I say?
I didn't even know this game existed. Is there hate?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's hate.
It is a Ubisoft game.
Well, for me, like, when I hear the word Tom Clancy, I just go into like a coma and then like wake up whenever they're done talking about it. So I kind of understand it in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a perfect game by any stretch. Nothing is. Don't read me wrong on that, but
Earthbound is, but I appreciate your effort.
Yeah. I think that as far as sitting down to play a few rounds with your friends, I had a lot of fun with it. It's not the typical shooter. You can't go in guns blazing. You have to be methodical and coordinated. And I don't know. That just struck me as a lot of fun. I also played, Derek, Scarlet Nexus.
Hey, welcome to the club. What'd you think?
I'm not too far. I'm only like a few hours in. So far, I'm very much of two minds on this game. The gameplay is quite fun.
A lot of fun.
I'm having a lot of fun when I actually get in a mission and fight. That being said, I think probably 50% of this game is watching static images with moving faces.
Yeah, it's kind of like a visual comic. Like I
Yes.
think like when they released like the Watchmen graphic novel on DVD, it's kind of what it reminded me of.
I find these parts so insipid and so trite.
I think the story is kind of boring.
Yeah.
Are you playing as the guy or the girl first?
The guy, Yuito.
Okay, so you're doing it right. Because I played as I'm bad with names, forgive me. But I played as the girl first, and her story like reveals all the plot twists. So it's like weird going back to the guy's story because like, oh, this is why it's like this. Like, it just feels strange. So interesting things do happen, but they're all revealed in the girl's story. But again, like, I don't know, the story is not why I like that game. It's just kind of fun.
I don't know. I'm torn between wanting to just skip through all these crappy dialogue scenes about like 2,000-year-old teenagers being the chosen one and just play the game, right?
Right.
Reggie style.
Play the game.
Well, he was right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like this game tries to do the Persona Social Link thing, and I think it does it in the most boring way possible. Because like I
Yes.
didn't care about any of the social links at all. And I'm usually very forgiving about this sort of thing. Like I always find like a character I like, but the side characters I just don't care about any of them really.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I've just gotten to that part where you start doing the social link stuff, and it really is just push a button to watch these characters talk for 15 minutes.
Let me tell you about affinity charts.
You know, and I realize that's a bit of a criticism of Red Dead Redemption that I've seen around where, oh, you know, the mission, you just ride on a horse for 5 minutes while the characters talk to each other. The difference is in Red Dead Redemption 2, those characters have interesting things to say that are giving you insights into the characters. In Scarlet Nexus, this is like dumb drivel.
Very surface level stuff.
Yes.
I mean, like I played this game I think like 6 months ago, and I can't really tell you much about the personalities of any characters. Like I remember like what specific ones look like, but
Mhm.
the dialogue itself is just I don't know, very generic. And
Yeah.
and you know I'm being harsh on it. I did enjoy the game, but the story is not anything special.
Something about it, you know, I'm playing with subs instead of the dub, and there have been multiple
Yeah,
moments,
yeah. That's why I'm
and
glad I played with English.
yeah, every time that happens, it's like, oh my god, just get me out of here. This is embarrassing.
It's very anime.
Yeah,
So this is not your favorite game ever.
no.
Number two,
In a
number
word.
two, but
Number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Just squeaked in at number 11. I don't know. I'm having trouble sticking with it, so we'll see.
well, I promise you it gets better.
Yeah,
There are some interesting things that happen, but it's it's not the most interesting thing.
yeah.
Well, for me, it's been a couple weeks, so there's a couple things I played that I won't talk about. I'm gonna wait till Cheston plays Thousand Year Door to talk about that because he promised he would, but we'll see if he keeps
I
to it.
did.
Well, you said after you beat Paper Mario, you wanted to go play Thousand Year Door. Unless
I
that
do.
was just hot talk.
Yeah, but then I had all those emulation issues with my controller, and I was angry. So I'll get back to it. I get really pissy when that's why I don't play on PC very much. When I try to do something and it doesn't work, and it wasn't the game; it was the controller.
Right. Oh yeah,
Ugh.
your Pro controller. You need to get one of those
Yes.
GameCube adapters like I
I
have.
know it's just so stupid. It should just work. Why doesn't it just work?
It just works, man. I don't know what you want from me. That's why I play console games.
Yes, that is exactly why. Because I'm a baby. Anyways,
Whenever you play that, I will talk more about it. But short summary is it's a really good game. Of course, criminally underrated by Game Informer.
yes, take that.
Take
2004
that.
Game Informer.
Exactly. Take that GameStop. You're on notice. But okay, so the recording spaz out here. I'm talking about Pokemon Legends Arceus and how I thought it looked like trash in pre-release. And this is where Cheston cuts in and says, "Hey, it's like this comic, so enjoy the context."
At the risk of being, oh God, what's the word? Dated with my reference. Was it a God hand moment for you?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Like those God hand comics? Oh, this game looks kind of shitty, and it's probably
Yeah, it's exactly like that actually, because all the pre-release it looks like the graphics are terrible. And my experience with Pokemon is that it's always I don't know, ever since I think Black and White, I feel like it's just like going the motions. You play it because it's there. It's like comfort food sort of game. Like I was telling Cheston, like I felt like Sword and Shield was overpraised because people were trying to own the gamers. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
and this one, I was getting like the same kind of vibes when the reviews came out. Like, I don't care about the reviews. They're just gonna say it's good because the people they don't like think it's bad. And then I played it, and I'm like, holy shit, this game's good. Like, it's the most inspired Pokemon game I think since Conquest. Like the most effort put into a Pokemon game perhaps ever. Like it feels like just a completely new experience. Like if this was not on the Switch, I think this game would be something special. Like that's the one thing holding it back. As a result of it being on the Switch, like the frame rate's kind of iffy. The graphics are bad. The open world is smaller than it could be, though it's still bigger than you would think.
You know what blew my mind?
Hmm.
I had a friend playing this, and of course, everybody I've heard who's played this has said the same thing as you. I haven't actually come across a single person who said anything about this game that's negative other than its graphics. They told me that when your Pokemon learns a move, like its fifth move, it doesn't just forget the old moves. They just go into like a bank, so you can just switch the moves at will.
Correct.
Like
Holy shit.
I was like, it's such an obvious thing, but it's like,
It's revolutionary.
oh shit! Like, why don't they all do that? Like,
I can't go
that's way
back.
better.
Yeah, it is way better. Because it's like, oh wow, this is convenient now. Like you don't got to go to a
Yeah, it's not
move
like
deleter.
you're not having to make this like momentous strategic decision. Like, I guess I'll get rid of this move. Like, you're just like, oh, it's just like an item. It's like, I don't know, every other RPG ever where you can, well, many RPGs where you can add or subtract skills at your leisure.
Yeah, it's refreshing. I wasn't expecting that. Like you don't like you can customize your moves for certain situations. It's very. I don't know. It's nice. I can't go back to the old way now because it just it'd be dated. I don't know what to say. It's also like evolution is on command. Like you don't like when you hit level 16, you don't just evolve. You go into a menu and do it, which might sound annoying, but if you think about it like friendship evolution, specifically the EVs, you would have to make sure you're not using your EV at night, unless you like want an Umbreon or something. But
Oh,
now
see,
you
I
can
didn't even
just
think about that. Okay.
but now
Yeah.
you can just be like, well, I take a nap, I make it nighttime, and I go. And that's another thing. Like the time in this game is not set to real world time. It's like a regular open world game where it's night sometimes and it's day sometimes. So if you're like me and you typically play your games at nighttime, well past when everyone's asleep, you're not just restricted to the nighttime only Pokemon anymore. You can just get them all.
Hmm.
And they also have done away with trade evolutions. You can get an item
Well,
called like the link cable, and you just can evolve your Kadabras and
it
stuff.
seems awfully on the nose.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but it's nice. Like you can catch every single Pokemon in the game by yourself. You don't need a single person to help you.
What? Did Game Freak actually develop this?
Yeah, I know. That's why I was suspicious. Like this
Did
is
they like?
too convenient.
Is this a Deus Ex Human Revolution situation? Do they have someone else develop like all the good parts, except for like the opposite, an inverse Deus Ex Human Revolution?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to think of like what part of the Game Freak did that I did. Oh yeah, you have to in order to catch Spiritomb, you have to get 108 wisps, and I think that's the part Game Freak made. The
Oh
because
yes.
because it involves like hunting and tracking, and I actually gave up because I was like I'm gonna catch them all. This is gonna be the game, and then I had to get all this item. I was like fuck this. This sucks, and I stopped.
I'd expect such an attitude from someone who didn't collect all the honeycombs in Banjo-Kazooie.
Well, it feels like this game is like heavily inspired by Breath of the Wild, very clearly. Like the menus look exactly like it, and it's like an open world sort of game. So in Breath of the Wild, the big collectible was the Korok seeds, and the reward for collecting all the Korok seeds was basically a big lump of poop. That was to tell you wasted your time collecting all these. Why'd you do it? And unfortunately, in this game, it's your reward is a Spiritomb, which you need
Did I
to.
ever tell you that I went like almost the entire game without collecting a single Koroxy?
I collected very few.
I didn't
I'm
even know
with
they
you.
existed for like a long time until I heard people on podcasts complaining about them. I said, "What are they talking about?" And then I
Yeah.
encountered one, and I was like, "Oh, well, why would I do this?"
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it does expand your inventory, so that's kind of
Yeah, but your
nice.
inventory is already pretty big.
Meh. I disagree,
Oh,
but
sorry. Mr. Big Pockets wants Link to wear cargo shorts.
I do. Cargo shorts are very handy. They hold a lot of things, and Link would be well suited to wear them instead of his skirt he always wears. But for me, when I was a kid, picturing like a world of Pokemon, it was kind of like this game.
Hmm.
If you watch Detective Pikachu, which is kind of like I think the best. It does a good job of making a Pokemon world feel like the real world.
It is a surprisingly decent movie.
Yes, it is. It is way better than it has any right to be.
Hmm.
But it feels like that. It feels like that kind of world to me, and they've done a good job. Like when you throw your Pokemon, like your Pokeballs out, your Pokemon can just hang around. You can like interact with them and stuff. Like when you start a battle, it's like you just by throwing your ball, you don't just like run up to a Pokemon and then go to a different screen. it just feels like a real world. I'm going to be so sad when the next generation of Pokemon is just back to basics, where they
I just
ignore all
don't
this.
believe they actually developed this game. It's like a time skip of 15 years of like modernization all in one swoop.
Right? It's so I can't believe how much I like it. Like I'm done playing it now, but I think I sunk like 40 hours in, and I only quit because I was like, well, I just don't want to catch them all anymore. but I can't recommend it enough. Like whenever you get a Switch in 2035 or whatever, Setzer, like you should at least try it. I know you're a PC guy, so performance you'll notice it, but I think it's solid. For a Pokemon
Well,
game, can't get much better.
yeah, my wife is already complaining that her friends get to play this game and we don't because we don't have a Switch. So
That OLED.
yeah,
Yeah, when they get in stock in 20 years.
yeah,
I saw them at
exactly.
GameStop yesterday.
What?
Yeah, they were there.
I should get a second one.
Yeah, sell it on the aftermarket.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Oh, one other thing is when you beat the game, you just get the other starters you didn't pick.
What?
I
That's
love
cool.
it.
Holy cow!
I was so happy. I was like, "Oh yes, thank you."
Man, that's incredible.
Yes. So it turns out all the annoying stuff about Pokemon is artificial annoyance.
I just want to throw my other Pokemon games in the trash now.
Yeah, it's like those 1001 game cartridge commercials. Like,
Yeah.
throw it away.
Yeah,
And
but
it shows you.
Mario World in the trash. This is
It throws you showing Soul Silver away. It's like, no, that's worth money. What are you doing?
It's like 5,000. It's in the box. It's in the original box.
It's in the fucking box. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I'm kind of in a limbo before Elden Ring. Yes, I'm in a limbo until Elden Ring, unfortunately. So I'm playing One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, which is a Muso. So I don't have anything to say about that.
The translation's bad. That's all
The translation is
it.
bad, yes. The translation, the grammar is atrocious. Video game studios that do anime games hire me. I promise you, I know the difference between your and you are. I promise you, I do. But yeah, that's about it. It'll be along till I think February 22nd is when Elden Ring comes out. But then after that, it's a wait till Strangers of Paradise. So just all sorts of stuff early in the year. But yeah, so with that out of the way, let's get on to the news.
Well, let's start the week off with the lightning round. Been an exciting few weeks in the world of corporate monopoly, as Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, Sony bought Bungie, Take-Two bought Zynga, and Sega wrapped itself up with a nice little bow by ditching its arcade business. What do you think will be the outcome of these situations 5 years from now? 5 years,
I will feel less guilty buying a game that maybe Activision was involved with.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the way I look at the Activision purchase, like I look at it as Microsoft acquiring a shitload of IPs. Like that's more important to me than getting Activision Blizzard, which I think is a shell of its former self.
They could rescue so many developers.
But of course, I also look at like Microsoft's track record with IPs they buy, and they just don't do anything with them. Like they've had Conquer for 80,000 years, it's just sitting on a shelf.
Yeah, but Conquer sucks.
Banjo's been sitting on a shelf.
Well, they did Banjo, and they did
Halo has been doggy paddling for 10 years.
They came back, and people overlooked it being a mediocre game because they wanted a Halo so bad. So I'm kind of like, I'm not a fan of monopolies, you know. So I don't like all these purchases really, but I do think Sony says it wasn't reactionary, and of course it wasn't. It takes some time to finalize a deal, but I find it very funny that their big deal was Bungie. What a joke!
I think the Bungie thing isn't a big deal.
It's not a big deal at all.
I mean, what I mean is I don't think it's a big deal for Sony. I think people are saying, oh, Sony got scammed. Bungie will just buy their way out from under them, in another 5 years or so.
That is tradition.
Yeah, what I think, if you look at what Sony has said about this deal, they've been very forthcoming that this is not about Bungie's games. This is about access to the Destiny IP for movies and TV shows.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Ooh.
I think they're insane. No one gives a shit about Destiny lore except for like 5 people, and those 5 people are insane. But
Well, I'll say this as the only person here who has actually played Destiny.
I played the alpha.
I've
Yeah.
played Destiny before, not much, but I played it.
I think that it does have a really interesting world. The problem is Bungie has never been able to. Let me put it this way: there's a difference between having a cool setting and telling a story about characters. Okay, Bungie has never been able to take the interesting parts of Destiny and put them in a, we'll say, human readable format. Again, like Red Dead Redemption 2 tells a story set in a very cool setting, but it's about people and the events in their lives, right? Destiny ostensibly tells a story about, people doing stuff, but there's really nothing thematic or moral or insightful about what's going on. And none of these characters are particularly interesting as people. And on the Sony side, I think they're kind of in the position. When was the last time Sony Pictures dropped a hit that was not co-owned by their competitor Disney, right?
Well, does Venom count? I don't think that's co-owned. I think that
It's
Yeah.
part of Marvel.
I don't know.
Venom is a Marvel character, right?
Well, I guess it is.
Stuff on that.
It's complicated. I don't know.
Exactly. It's complicated, and when Disney has the opportunity, they're going to yank that out of Sony's hand.
Cobra Kai.
So I think this is about trying to Voltron, Sony Pictures, and Bungie's transmedia team and figure out a way to turn Destiny from, if you decode, 7 years of lore drops, you can find a cool world in there, into here's an interesting story about an interesting character in this interesting world, right?
Right.
And Sony is going to pump those movies out for the next decade.
I also noted that a lot of people were talking about how they acquired them to get better at third-party development.
At live service.
Yeah. Well, I thought they said like develop releasing games on other platforms, which I personally took to mean PC. But it should be noted that their big baseball game, MLB The Show, will be available on Switch for the first time this year. It is also on Xbox. So maybe they might explore that for other things. I don't know.
It should also be noted that Bungie is atrocious at PC development. So basically, Vicarious Visions, an Activision studio, developed the Destiny 2 PC port from scratch.
Oh, wow.
And once Bungie inherited that responsibility, the PC client basically tanked. Performance is terrible. And so the idea that Sony is coming to Bungie for PC development advice is laughable to me.
Did they forget that they were Mac developers? Those crazy people.
I enjoy Take-Two buying Zynga because I look at them as two peas in a pod. Take-Two is one of the scummiest companies out there.
I always forget like what's Zynga's thing. Is it just Words with Friends? Oh, okay. I feel like they're like past their thing, but is that just me being in my own bubble?
I haven't heard as much about them, but I also don't use Facebook, so I don't know what all the old people are doing. You know what I mean? But
dying.
But say what you want. They know how to milk a penny or whatever you want to say. They can. So Take-Two, who does predatory stuff all the time, look at their crappy WWE games and their crappy NBA games. So they're getting Zynga to learn how to milk better. I don't know.
It's almost time for another crappy WWE game.
It comes out March 11th, I think.
I know, the day before my birthday.
Right before their financial year ends. Very convenient timing to release a shit game. But yeah, lots of acquisitions. I've seen a lot of journalists going like, "Who's next?" or as like a clickbait sort of thing. Like you shouldn't be encouraging this. You shouldn't people shouldn't want other acquisitions to happen. Like you shouldn't want like Sega to be acquired or something. You want freedom. Like I think more people getting access to more games is a good thing. But I don't know. That could be going away.
That being said, I think Sega is
Oh, they're next.
next on the list.
Easily. I'm surprised they weren't scooped up already.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of IP relative to their market cap is insane.
They put out a list of like what the companies are worth currently, and I
Sega is
think
like at the bottom by far.
there's like 3 billion, but like honestly, like with the IPs they have, it's worth that easily.
Yeah.
Like you could easily get that money back with Sonic alone. I mean, well, maybe not. I don't know. Sonic
over the course of several years.
What if Nintendo bought Sega and made a good Sonic game for once?
What if Nintendo made a good video game? That'd be a first.
Yeah, no kidding.
We just talked about Arceus.
I was joking. I'm a
That's
Nintendo
Setzer's
drone.
material. Yeah. Whatever.
They're also sitting under IPs, by the way.
Hulk Beast.
Yes. Well, the fact that they're not milking Persona dry is both admirable and stupid.
Fantasy Star. Beyond Oasis.
Jet Set Radio.
Jet Set Radio.
Yakuza Caught Fire.
Ristar.
Valkyria Chronicles. There's a lot of shit they have.
Yeah.
Guardian Hero. Oh, sorry. Gunstar Heroes.
Does Treasure own that or does Sega own that? I don't know.
Who cares? Treasure doesn't exist anymore.
I'm sure that's wrong. I don't know. Well, I hope they do exist. You've
been playing Mischief Makers 3? I don't think so.
I guess I'm not. You're right about that.
In other news, Casey McDonald of The Guardian writes, "I've seen the metaverse and I don't want it." Did you guys get a chance to read this article?
No, I didn't actually.
I always am amused by these articles because, listen, Ready Player One is not like a great novel or anything like that. Probably not a very good movie either. But it is always funny to me how willfully these articles misinterpret that book, which was not celebratory of the metaverse at all. It was actually very critical of the idea that corporations would totally destroy our planet and then force us onto a virtual planet or a virtual plane of existence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this article embraces
reading
that.
is hard.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what this article says about Ready Player One.
Is it? I thought they just said that Ready Player One celebrated.
No, they said Ready Player One was celebrated. And that, it's kind of demonstrated that there is at least some degree of consumer interest in that kind of technology and experience. Yeah, the article takes a very cynical and negative stance toward the metaverse that I happen to share.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think the public at large is very against it, but I feel like a lot of them kind of don't know
I also
why.
feel like the public at large doesn't really know what it is because none of these corporations really do either. Like
I think no one knows what it is.
Brand new, and it's like the way it's talked about on Good Morning America per se is as if it is this application that just everybody could plug into in theory. And it exists right now, and you just go on there, and you've got your little virtual person. It's basically Second Life.
Well, it reminds me of like when the Sega guy was talking about NFTs, and like he clearly just was just saying something to get his investors excited. Like no one really knows what's going on here yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the article makes a good point that the ideas of the metaverse have existed for a long time. Like they mention EVE Online as this, metaverse adjacent idea.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this virtual world that has taken on all of the structures of a real world society, with alliances and war and all kinds of, crazy
economics.
Yeah, metaverse is lame. So
EVE is fun to read about.
I've never met a person who's like, yeah, I'm really excited for the metaverse thing, but I don't live in Silicon Valley and associate with any tech douches. So maybe that's my fault.
Well, I just feel like technology is not where it would need to be for people to get into the metaverse. Like, the things I see, I don't know, just aren't very impressive to me. Like, why would you want to live in that shitty world,
Yeah, it looks like those bad... You ever seen, like, those... I think it's like a Korean network. that has these weird, bad 3D animations to
Oh boy, have I. They're always
articulate.
funny.
Yeah, that's what all the metaverse stuff looks like to me. It's like these bad Korean 3D animations that are meant to show you or explain to you why Boris Johnson is in trouble or something. Like, it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the most salient point of the article is basically what you were alluding to, that this idea that the metaverse will create this pseudo unlimited market where, you know, those in control of the metaverse capital can spin up an infinite amount of land to sell and then pretend it's a limited amount to drive up prices that people will pay, and that people will buy this metaverse land, build a metaverse house, and live a metaverse life, so that they are not, so that they're basically anesthetized to the deterioration of the real world. You know, I think that is a tech bro, crypto bro dystopia. And I think it's happening before our eyes. But I also think that, you know, people have become so wary and weary of social media over the past 5 years that it's becoming more and more difficult for me to imagine people like willingly wanting to participate in this, let alone pay to do it. I think we've seen the dynamics around social networks shift so drastically over the past few years that the idea of like a 3D immersion social network, I think that that's a harder sell than it ever has been, you know?
Well, I think so. Like a lot of social media is like extreme camps, one side or the other, and like purposefully going into like another social media to get more entrenched in what people, I don't know, what people's values does not sound appealing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that no matter what you think or who you agree with, everybody kind of agrees that social media has become an intolerable experience.
It sucks. Like the only reason I use it is like an addiction, honestly. Like you have a daily habit, like you check your socials and you move on, but does anyone actually like doing it anymore? Like I feel like it's just something you do because you have one and it's become a habit.
Yeah. I just don't know. I think it's such a wildly dystopian take on economics and human gullibility. And at this point, you know, I'm not sure that the best laid plans of Zuck and Men will come to fruition. I can see it getting its tendrils into some people. I mean, NFTs certainly have. But I think looking at Facebook on a screen is intolerable. Being, you know, dumped into a 3D Facebook space would just be maddening.
Yeah, being immersed with your grandparents' political views all the time.
Oh my god.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. I really wanted a Tucker Carlson video to be someone's avatar and to approach within 1 feet of me and turn their volume up to maximum and scream that shit at me. That just sounds like how I want to spend my time off.
It's like you're living in those My E-cards that were all over Facebook 10 years ago.
I hate those. Man. Oh, those sucked. Oh, you know what? I just hate normal people. It's just what it comes down to.
Yeah. What if we build our own virtual universe separate from those people?
And we call it Reddit.com.
Don't go in there, it's worse.
Medit, perhaps?
Medit, yeah. The Reddit gold is like actual gold bars, but...
but not actual because they're virtual?
I always hate when I see like Reddit posts complaining about Reddit and they're like decorated with like gold, Reddit gold. Yeah, like you have to pay them for that.
30 different currencies. Like, oh, you silly goose.
The internet is changing and I don't like it. It's already changed.
Yeah. Well, finally this week, the escapist Yahtzee Crossaw, remember him?
I remember him.
Has an article about
I still listen
bad games being better than bland games.
Yeah, he's right.
He's correct. 100%
Yeah.
correct. I look at you might remember I played a little game recently called Balan Wonderworld.
I noticed that was headlining this article.
Yeah, that game is a train wreck, but it's something I'm going to remember a long time from now. A game I consider bland would be Sonic Unleashed, a game I have nothing to say about at all. It's just a shitty game, you know? It's just bland. So give me something that's memorable or try something different and it fails and just like, I don't know, a Far Cry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I've played like every Assassin's Creed, but I can't remember anything about them. But, you know, I do remember playing Sonic 06.
Oh, yes. I will remember Sonic 06 for the rest of my life, but
Better and
I've
for worse.
played probably 20 hours of Watch Dogs 1. I can't tell you shit about that game except for like the guy who wore a trench coat and
He wore a
hacking
hat.
the phones.
The iconic hat.
The
It was
iconic hat.
iconic hat.
Yes.
It was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Like it's like that's just a game. Like it's like filler. It's like potato chips. You eat them and then they're gone. That's it. So give me something interesting that's shitty instead, easily, all day.
Yeah, like shit chips.
Shit chips, exactly. Like,
I
I'm gonna
remember
remember.
those.
I'm gonna remember the poop flavored taquitos, but you know,
Mm,
Well, I
I
will
can
say
arrange.
this. Let's dog ear this article,
Okay.
fold it up, put it in the back of your mind,
All right.
yes.
and 5 years from now, when we see how the acquisition arms race plays out, let's compare. Are games blander now or when they're all controlled by Microsoft or Sony?
It doesn't sound like a very fun experience.
So yeah, give me shitty over bland.
Yahtzee was right.
Yahtzee, correct. The prophet of our time.
Unanimous agreement here.
When Yahtzee was the most, I don't know, controversial video game voice on the internet, go back to that time. That was way better. All right, so I think that'll do it for news this week. Cheston, what do you got for us now?
Hello and welcome to The Price is Right. And here is your host, Drew Cheston. Oh, hello, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
Fine. You're sorry. It's a very funny choice of name for you.
I don't see what's so funny about it. Well, anyways, welcome to the Price is Right. So this is a very special episode of The Price is Right. Instead of hawking grocery store paraphernalia, I have collected some microtransactions from years past. And here's how this is going to work. I am going to name for you a famous microtransaction, and you are going to take turns telling me your estimated price in the currency it was purchased with.
What? So like I guess Xbox points?
Yes.
Oh my
Oh my god.
It's gonna be impossible.
Well, that is the game, and as always, it is the closest without going over.
Do you have like
So-
real world equivalences so we can at least know
I
what
do.
they actually cost?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I told you I did research.
Okay.
Anyways, gentlemen, we're going to start off with a big one. This gold-plated set of armor would look perfect on your horse,
I knew it. You got to start with that.
but only if you have the right amount of Microsoft points. Now, for your reference, 1,600 Microsoft points is equal to $20 US. So, Setzer, your turn first. How many Microsoft points did horse armor cost?
I'm bad at math, but I'm going to say 500 Microsoft points.
Okay. My guess is a nice $5 at 400 Microsoft points.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid this point is going to go to nobody.
Oh, we all went
because you were
over.
both over. Horse armor, as it was released for Oblivion, cost 200 Microsoft points, the equivalent of $2.50 American.
That sounds quaint.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of does.
If they were all that price today, I guess it wouldn't be so bad.
Are you saying that you want horse armor to come back?
No, not particularly, no.
Okay. All right. Well, this next microtransaction might be a little less famous, but it does star one of the most famous video game characters on this podcast. Well, maybe.
Master Chief?
No. You see, in the late stages of the Wii, Capcom saw fit to bring back Mega Man. And even though they spent most of the game recapturing the legacy that was Mega Man, some of it was embracing modern trends like microtransactions. So, Derek, it'll be your turn first to guess how many Wii points it cost to play as Protoman.
All right, so is 2,000 Wii points $20?
Oh, yes, sorry. 2,000 Wii points is $20.
Man, that's weird. I remembered that. For Protoman, if I remember correctly, he could slide, which was his big plus in Mega Man 9.
Yes.
Character DLC tends to run a little more, I feel. But it's Mega Man. Like the game costs like $10, I think. So I'm gonna say 300 points.
Okay, Setzer?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say 400 points.
So $4.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, once again, nobody gets a point.
Wow, we're both saying everyone's too greedy.
Over. Protoman mode costs 200 Wii points.
That's not bad.
Or the US equivalent of $2.
We're
That's not-
inflation brained. This
Yeah,
is
I
like
guess
10
so.
years of inflation ago.
Yeah, no kidding.
Going about as well as I expected. All right, here we go. Next up on my list. Oh, this box is awfully shiny, and when you touch it, it explodes with skins and all kinds of fun gizmos for your favorite Overwatch characters. So I'm going to ask you, Setzer, how much do you think 50 loot boxes in Overwatch costs?
50.
And this is in real American currency.
This is like where it says like best value by 50?
Correct.
I'm going to say 20 bucks.
God, that's a tough one. 50 loot boxes, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I'm gonna say part of me is like $99, but there's no way. So I'm gonna go 40.
All right, gentlemen. Well, Setzer is going to be our winner because 50 loot boxes in Overwatch cost $39.99.
Oh bullshit! Bullshit! $39.99 is equal to 40. Give me a break.
ETF.
No, you went over. So
That's some bullshit.
one Overwatch loot box costs $1. So this is the best value.
Oh my god. Well, this 1-0.
Okay. All right. Next up is a big one for all you feline lovers, you pussy patrollers, if you will.
Leonardo DiCaprio, I hope you're listening.
This is a special helmet for your Spartan that will make your Spartan have cat ears like your favorite furry felines. You're going to give me the cost of the Halo Infinite Cat Lovers Bundle in infinite credits.
You need to
And
explain
for your
that to
reference,
me.
yes. For your reference, 2,000 credits is $20.
A cat bundle, you say? Am I first?
Oh, yes.
Oh man, I'm at a disadvantage because I don't know anything about Halo Infinite's pricing. Well, I think you said it was $10 for a die, and this is like a cat bundle. So
Cat
a bunch
Lovers
of cats.
Bundle.
So it includes like a helmet, probably a chest piece, maybe.
You're awfully ambitious thinking it includes more than just the helmet, for what it's worth.
Okay, so a helmet, maybe a paint.
Maybe. Probably doesn't even work with the helmet.
got like a little spot on it, so it's like this.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's so amusing to me, but $15 or 1,500 points.
1,500 credits. Okay,
Yeah.
Setzer, your turn.
I'm gonna say 2,000 credits.
All right, gentlemen. Well, you have had no faith in 343 Industries. This only costs the low price of 1,000 credits or $10.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's surprising.
Why is it called a bundle when it's clearly just a helmet?
No.
Is it to trick you into thinking you're getting more?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll look into it more later. That one I looked up the cat helmet specifically, but all I could find was I think you can only get it with the bundle. Best value.
Of course.
Okay, well, we are doing great. The score is 1-0. We're through 4 questions.
Well
I
done.
have 3 questions remaining.
All
This
right.
next one is 1 pull in Genshin Impact. So, for reference, a pull is how you get banners. I don't really understand Genshin Impact, so I can't really just explain this too well. And I also can't really explain its currency because I'm going to ask you its cost in Primo Gems, which I'm trying to find a real world value for it, but all I can find is something that says if you pay $5, you'll generate 90 Primo Gems every day for 30 days.
What the fuck
So-
does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay. Wow. For reference, a character banner is like the character you can get from the gacha system that month, like the special 5-star or whatever.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So the one pool would be one slot machine pool to get this 5-star character. I believe it's Setzer's turn to go first.
It is, yeah. Setzer, you go first.
I'm gonna say 1 pull is the equivalent of $2.
Okay.
I think they want to make you think like you're not spending money, so I want to make it really cheap. So I'm gonna say 50 cents per pool, whatever the equivalent of Stark tokens or whatever the hell.
Okay, well, the Genshin pool costs about 160 Primo Gems, which equates to roughly $1.98. So Derek is on the board.
I was
We have
pretty
a tie
far
game.
off. I mean, I won, but the spirit of it is.
Shoes on the other foot.
Yeah, no kidding. That's surprisingly high.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Because you're trying to get people to not realize they're spending $1 million. Why would you make each slot machine pool like $2? That's a lot of money.
These people are beyond saving.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, gentlemen. Well, I hope you are ready to drop in with this Fortnite Spider King costume. You are going to give me the cost in V-Bucks. And for your reference, $20 will get you 2,800 V-Bucks. And this will be Derek.
Hold on, say
Yes.
that again. $20, 2,800.
Yes.
And what's the thing I'm guessing for?
The Spider King.
What's the Spider King?
It appears to be an original Fortnite thing.
It's not like Spider-Man.
No.
Oh boy. Sorry, Zoomers, I don't understand your game. So, not to insult what you've done here. So it's like a character, man. Well, I think skins are kind of expensive, right? 2,800 is such a stupid number for that. By the way, I'll say 1,200.
Okay. V-Bucks?
Yeah, 1,200
Okay.
No, 1,200 US dollars.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 1,000 V-Bucks.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, the Fortnite Spider King can be had for the low price of 2,000 V-Bucks,
All
or the
right.
US equivalent of $16. So Derek has pulled ahead.
What a waste of money.
2-1. All right, this is my last regular
$16.
question.
Good God.
So if Derek wins, then the game is over, and if Setzer wins, I have to admit the tiebreaker. Okay, boys. Well, you might be tired of your real life but you might not be tired of your virtual life in The Sims 4. And in The Sims 4, you can have so much stuff. There are expansion packs and there are stuff packs. And there is so much that you can do to your little virtual life. So, Setzer, I am asking you for the price of every single piece of DLC for The Sims 4.
Oh, this would have been a good
Altogether.
tiebreaker question.
I know, that was actually originally what it was designed for. But here we go.
This is in dollars?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to say $800.
Oh boy,
Okay.
that's not a bad guess. um, but I don't know. That's so much money. $325.
All right. Well, the winner of this showcase, and by extension, all of the DLC for Sims 4,
Yes.
is Derek, as the all of Sims 4 DLC cost a whopping $789.59.
Again with this bullshit victory. Oh my god.
Ding 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 ding. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da.
$769. Holy shit.
Derek, I hope you're ready to leave this game in a brand new Forza Horizon 5.
Yes.
The Warthog from Halo.
Oh man. I like to dedicate this victory to the brave Mujahideen fighting.
This one's for Jesus. You up there, big man,
Yeah.
looking out for me.
Couldn't have done this without you.
No 2005 Chevy Tahoe Halo Edition.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm afraid.
Did you see that?
No.
So they're making that Halo TV show, right? In the trailer, you can see there's like a 2005 Chevy Tahoe just sitting on an alien planet.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I need to watch the trailer. I guess they were like bilking it all last week during football, and I wasn't paying attention, I guess.
Well, I've heard that they're taking the very smart Ryan Johnson-esque strategy of making Master Chief not the main character, but a plucky 16-year-old female will be the main character.
All I know about it is
Hot dog.
I was listening to the Tony Kornheiser podcast, and apparently it was so shoved down people's throats that he said, "I don't think anybody's going to watch that Halo show. It looks terrible." And so that's all I know about it.
Oh, Tony. I guess that'll do it for us this week. I like to celebrate my own victory, but it's time to wrap it up. You can reach us on email, alltodaypodcast@gmail.com, or on Twitter @alltodaypod. This is Derek.
Setzer.
Andrew Cheston.
And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Adios.
Bye-bye. Don't forget to get your dogs spayed or neutered.
Preferably both.